Our next question deals with federal policy as related to agriculture and subsidies. Right now, agriculture is the only product the U.S. exports more than it imports. How do we maintain this ratio going forward in a district where agriculture is so vital to the economy? Ms. Jo Ann Emerson.
Thank you. I'm very happy to serve on the Agricultural Appropriations Subcommittee and to have worked very hard to protect the safety net of our producers here in Missouri, because ag is our #1 industry. And the fact of the matter is that today our farmers are under threat, not only from foreign competitors, but really from folks who live in the metro areas who don't understand that food doesn't come from the grocery, it comes from the farm. And I will also say that our farmers are really competing against countries, whether it's the European Union or South America, where their farmers are subsidized a great deal more than we are. And that makes it very important to at least have a safety net. Larry is correct, because prices are higher. The fact is that there'll only be about $12 billion worth of subsidies this year. That pales in comparison to our competition. And because our farmers produce the safest, most abundant food anywhere in the world, we are actually producing food for each farmer for 160 people and his or her family. And so it's absolutely vital. It's a $12 billion industry here in Missouri. 245,000 people work in it. And I will point out that the ag budget, only 10% of the agriculture budget is actually dealing with commodity programs.
Mr. Rick Vandeven.
Agriculture is one area where we have an absolute competitive advantage over every other country in the world. But I have a big problem with this country's agriculture policy. This district is near the top of the heap in the amount of farm subsidies it's received. Yet we're one of the poorest districts in the nation. The Boot Hill region receives the lion's share in the amount of farm subsidies, and they're the poorest of the poor. When I travel through the Boot Hill, I see rows of shacks and acres of subsidized cotton and a big old plantation house right in the middle of it all. It would be incorrect for me to pigeonhole all farmers into this category, because subsidies are grossly unfair to farmers. Subsidies artificially increase land prices and rent. They prevent small operations from expanding, and they prevent new participants in the agriculture industry. Who is benefiting from these farm subsidies? It's a few big agriculture corporations and the politicians that can count on their support. 10% of farmers receive 81% of farm subsidies. There's a farmer in Cape Girardeau that has received $2.9 million in farm subsidies since 2005. This is not about...
Our next...
I do want to attribute my position on appropriations to Newt Gingrich. I will say, though, he wanted a token pro-life Republican. I will say, though, he wanted a token pro-life Republican on appropriations. And Northrop was there. And Northrop, so then I got appointed, and Kay got appointed, but the Republicans didn't have women on appropriations until that time, and he had asked me in my first term, do I want to be on appropriations? And I couldn't do that because I had promised my constituents that I would carry on and I would learn ag policy and I would learn transportation policy, and actually it was quite helpful because back in the days when you had earmarks, and we were writing a highway bill, actually got a lot of 4-lane highways authorized, and the funding began then once I got on appropriations. It was terrific. And so I appreciate that, but you all know how it works. So, those days are long gone, and I'm really sad about it. But quite helpful because back in the days when you had earmarks, and we were writing a highway bill, actually got a lot of 4-lane highways authorized, and the funding began then once I got on appropriations. It was terrific. And so I appreciate that, but you all know how it works. So, those days are long gone, and I'm really sad about it.